Good evening, everyone. I believe sometimes we are really hard on ourselves. Have you ever found yourself trying to outdo your parents, especially those that we know um, life got them to a point where they may not walk in the best path, and so we're coming up and trying to do something differently, and sometimes it's a challenge, and we may find ourselves even stumbling in the very position that our parents have stumbled into. And it's not like we didn't see. Some people truly walk blindly, like they are just going through life and things are happening within their family, and it's repeating itself, and it's like they can't even help themselves. But there are those that really are trying, and you're trying so hard, and the more you try, the pressure comes, because there's a time in your life that the pressure will come so hard that you think that you're not going to make it, but you can, and you're not alone. And it's not just happening in this time, but it happened before. I'm going to share a little synopsis before I get into the word. I remember one of my challenge that I told myself. For those who know my story, I would call it that I was separated from my mom. And so the reunion never took place until I was 14 years old. And I always said to myself, my husband and I, we said, when we have our children, we will never, that's one of the things, I'm never going to leave my kids, and I'm never going to have a babysitter. I'm going to be that person there. So help me God. And when I realized, I said, to God be the glory, I was able to check that off to say, that's one thing that have held my mom that I overcame. So in the word, I'm going into the 1 Kings chapter 18, and I'm going to be reading a few verses there. Well, not reading it for time's sake. You can read it on your own. But it says that, reading from verse 17, and it came to pass when Ahab saw Elijah, that Ahab said unto him, art thou he that troubleth Israel? So here's Elijah, a man of God, that everything that he says, he was provoking the spirit then. Provoking the spirit in a good way, but somehow Israel saw it in a bad way. And so, long story short, go and read it on your own for time's sake. So here is Elijah, a man of God, trusting God and everything. And he knew that there were some false prophets in Israel at the time. And he wanted the people to know and to look up to the true God. The God who was able to make things happen. And I could see Elijah walking, and he's looking at what his forefather did, and he said, I'm going to hold strong, and I'm not going to do the same thing that they do. I'm going to hold strong. I'm going to trust God, and God is going to be with me, and he's going to deliver me. And so we know the story that, okay, he called for all the prophets, and they came on Mount Carmel, and Elijah set up this offering, and he said, you know what, call unto your God and let your God come true for you, and so that the people will see. They beat the altar so much and nothing happened. And Elijah, to prove that his God, Jehovah God, Yahweh, Yeshua, the Son of God, was a true and living God, Elijah had them pour water and do a little extra. And so it's fitting when I go over to verse 36. It says, and it came to pass at the time of the offering of the evening sacrifice that Elijah the prophet came near and said, Lord God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, let it be known this day that thou art God in Israel, and that I am thy servant, and that I have done all these things in thy word. And from there, the fire came down and consumed Elijah's offering, and the people saw that, okay, yes, Yahweh is a true and living God. And so in that he also had them slain all those prophets. So when we back up and look at in chapter 17, Elijah had caused the rain to stop. He had so much power that he said, I wanted the clouds to seal and there should be no rain. So there was no rain. And the place was dried. And God even allowed direct Elijah to a brook where there was provision, water was made for him. And so the whole 9 yards, this is a man of God. What I'm trying to say, a man of God, seeing God working, and he's just in his prime. I'm seeing manifestation of the Holy Spirit. I'm seeing the manifestation of God in my life and through the utterance of my words. And so when after the miracle on Mount Carmel, here he goes and he prayed for the Lord to open the windows of heaven and to pour out rain. And it came. Now, we look at that and we say, okay, he's on the path and he should have no fear. If we in our time would experience something or have such an experience as he did, I wonder what we would have done with that now. But you said, okay, Elijah have seen it. He was fed by God. God spoke to him directly and he had performed all his miracles. And then the news went back to the leader of all those false prophets, Jezebel. And I believe that spirit is still in the atmosphere now. But anyway, the word gets back to her and said, you know what Elijah just did? He basically killed all your men. And she said, you know what? I am going to kill him. I am going to kill him. And just that word from this woman sent Elijah in a panic, a state of panic. And I look at it, I'm saying, how could that be that he left from having that vast experience with God and then get to the place where we would almost say, okay, his faith is being wavered. But you can be knocked off. You can be taken by surprise. It doesn't mean that your faith is gone. You can be taken by surprise and some things can really press you. So, but anyway, here is Elijah and he's saying, oh God, I am no better than my fathers. And when I saw that, I said, God, this guy came to this place and after experiencing all that miracle, he's saying he's no better than his father. And I started to think about our journey. And I started to think of the stumble that we may stumble and how we beat ourselves up. Especially some of us, as he said, fathers, I'm just leaning to the fathers for a moment. Some of us, we know that we don't see a father, or if we do see one, they were not the role model, they were either drunk, a cheat, they were not a good provider, and they're absent. They weren't playing the role as a father should. And so you as a young man, you're coming up, or a middle-aged man, you're coming up with that in your head that I'm going to do something different. Your dad was a drunk. I'm going to stay away from bar. I'm staying away from all these things that befallen him or beset him. I'm going to walk this path. And you found yourself in a bar. You found yourself with a bottle. I am here to say to you, don't give up. Don't give into it and don't give up. Don't beat yourself up for the stumble. The stumbling is not it. It's the whole fact that you get up and continue. Here's what Elijah did. He said, I'm no better than my father. And when I go back into the book of Numbers, I believe Numbers in chapter 11 and somewhere in 14 or 15, you can look at verse 14 or 15. When Moses was coming with the children of Israel and they were pressing on Moses with their needs, and the Lord was angry with them, and Moses stood there. Moses said, you know what, did you use me to bring these people to this place and now they're calling for flesh? Where am I going to get flesh to feed them? And so Moses found himself at the place helpless. And it's better that you take my life, because, I can't provide for them and I can't believe that you take us here for them to die. So here is Elijah learning of that. And he's saying, you know, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to trust God. Even if the hard time comes, I'm not going to fall in. I'm going to stand and I'm going to continue. But when he comes to that place, he found himself saying, I am no better than my father. What am I saying? As I said, because it's a male, I spoke on the male side, but there's female. There are some females that we are struggling with not walking the path that our mothers have walked, because we know that they stumble. And even those that may portray perfection before us, we may be struggling with living up to that perfection too. At the end of the day, not because you stumble doesn't mean that God is not working. Not because you are pressed doesn't mean that you should stop trusting. Not because you are cornered doesn't mean that he's not going to show up and he's not going to make a way. He is God. He sees all things. He knows all things. Stop beating yourself up. Jackie, stop beating yourself up for the struggles, for the times when you have fumbled, for the times when you find yourself stepping even in the very footstep of your mom that you never envisioned in that aspect of your life. It happens. It happens to Elijah because he was on a path. I am going to do different. But life has a way of pressing us not to break us for us to go to the battle or to turn to prostitution or to walk away from our families or to do anything that is unethical in the eyes of God. Not in the eyes of man, in the eyes of God. But for us to know that when we are at that place, we can cry out, because I believe if Elijah had cried out to the Lord about Jezebel, because we know what happened to her, but the Lord honored Elijah's request. And he let Elijah know that, you know, Elijah, you're not alone. You're not the only prophet that is here. You're not the only one that she's trying to take their life. Because sometimes life has us thinking that we are the only one that is going through. It's only my family that is torn apart. It's only my relationship that is torn apart. It's only my marriages that is experiencing something. It's only me, my body that is dealing with sickness. But he's saying, no, Jackie, you're not alone. There are many that are going through and are holding on. So hold on. Hold on. Hold on. God is faithful and he will come true for us. Be blessed. Until next time, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.